Welcome back inside of Mission Control Houston. Dan Hewitt here, and I'm joined now by Ann Esbeck, one of our ADCO flight controllers here in Mission Control. Now, Ann, first off, thanks so much for being here. It's always great to get a little insight on what you guys are doing behind the scenes. So, first off, what does ADCO stand for? What is it that you guys are doing for the International Space Station?
Okay, ADCO stands for the Attitude Determination and Control Officer. So essentially, the simplest way to describe what we do is we're the pilot.
So you're the one sitting at the sticks flying the International Space Station, basically.
Yeah, so we don't actually get a stick down at the console, but we do get to send our commands via the computers. So we orient the space station where it needs to be going and make sure it stays there.
Okay. And so you're orienting the space station, and that's really important for visiting vehicles, right? We have a Soyuz coming up soon. What's some of the work you guys have to do to get the station ready for any visiting vehicle?
So one of the primary things that we have to do is that we hand over control to the Russian segment. And typically our attitude control is performed via 4 control moment gyros. And those gyros are 200-pound spinning disks that produce momentum. As we move that momentum through space, we can control where the space station points. That doesn't work whenever you have to maneuver the vehicle over a large direction. So in this case, we actually need to pitch the vehicle up 90 degrees. So instead of flying like you would think of an airplane flying straight and level, so you have your wings out, we fly essentially pitched 90 degrees up. So instead of flying this way, you're going to come up and pitch this direction here and then continue to fly through space. And we're doing that because the Soyuz that's coming up to dock is docking on the nadir side of the vehicle, so on the bottom side of the vehicle.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that docking port is available for that vehicle to reach. And so by pitching the vehicle up, they can come in along the velocity vector and dock nice and easy with the sun pointing right where it needs to, so they can see it.
So flying in space, isn't quite like flying in the atmosphere where you can just kind of turn your spaceship, the wrong way, how it looks, and you're still flying because you don't have that wind resistance and problems like that. So we're looking at a picture right now of the Soyuz and how it'll look when it's docked. So so you're going to be flipping it up 90 degrees. Are there any other maneuvers you're going to be doing to get the station ready for that Soyuz docking?
So the order of operations for the day is that we actually turn on a lot of different, they're called ORUs, on-orbit replacement units. And it's things like an extra rate gyro so that we can measure the rates on the space station as we're doing the maneuver. And it gives us additional redundancy. So if we have a sensor fail during the operation, we have an additional one already turned on, so it'll switch over automatically and we don't have any interruptions. So we have a lot of configuration that happens on the space station prior to getting ready to dock. And that all of that's completed well before we hand over to the Russian segment. Then we hand over to the Russian segment, perform the maneuver up to 90 degrees, and we'll be flying 090. And then as the crew is coming in, they will monitor to determine whether or not we are holding to a tight enough attitude for them to dock. If for some reason they don't think that the docking is going well, they will hand over and do what's called a manual docking. And they actually take the Soyuz out of their automatic mode and fly the vehicle in manually. And then once we're docked, the vehicle will go to free drift. When the vehicle is in free drift, it reduces the loads on the docking mechanism so that they can close all of the hooks and do a hard mating properly. After they get mated, then we can turn the thrusters back on and regain attitude control and get back to that 090 attitude. After we've gotten back to that attitude, we'll then pitch back down into our normal flying attitude. And once we're there, we'll actually disable thrusters again so that the hooks can be installed on the Soyuz and open the hatches so the crew can come inside. After the hooks have been installed, then we'll turn the thrusters back on and we'll be able to continue our day.
Okay, wow. So not as easy as just, two things linking up when they're flying at, 17,500 miles an hour. It's pretty tricky to get them to
Yeah, as simple as that sounds, no. We have a lot of other operations that we have to do during the day.
Okay, well, what about some of the other visiting vehicles? I know you're pitching 90 degrees for this one. Is that kind of standard for most vehicles, or?
If we're going to dock nadir, which is on the bottom side of the space station, yes, we'll typically dock at 090. If we have something that's coming to the aft portion of the vehicle, so the back side of the vehicle, we'll have a different attitude. Typically, we actually stay pretty close to our TEA, which is our torque equilibrium attitude. So that's what we fly on a nominal day. Or we might have to turn the space station around backwards to put that point of the vehicle in the velocity vector. So that's called a 180-degree yaw maneuver. So instead of flying straight level this way, we actually turn around backwards and then fly backwards for that docking. And then there are also others where we'll actually turn around 180 degrees the day before and then pitch up the day of docking. And that's so that we can dock to the zenith port. And then we'll pitch back down and then turn another 180 degrees back before we get back to nominal ops. And those sort of dockings actually take a 3-day time period because we have to maneuver the day before and wait in that it's called minus XVV TEA. And then on the day of docking, we'll do the pitch up attitude and then pitch back down following. And then we have to wait another day and then we maneuver back to the nominal attitude.
All right, so flying in space, you're making it sound a lot harder than I always thought it was, but glad you guys are on top of it and you're always controlling it. Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to all the work you're doing to get this station ready for that Soyuz docking. And thanks so much for coming on today and telling us a little bit about what ATCOs are doing to keep our space station flying.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
All right, thanks.